Hi, welcome to the 523 podcast. This is episode 10. So, woohoo, in the double digits. And this is a podcast, of course, as you know, from Corbello's Menswear. I am Devin Corbello, owner of Corbello's Menswear. And today I have with me a good friend of mine, Casey Bolton.
Hi.
Owner of Bayou Blend Apparel. And thank you for coming on today.
Thank you. This is definitely a first for me.
Yeah. So, just a quick backstory. From whenever I started my business, since I've started, I've made really cool connections and good friends. And Casey's one of those friends that I made after I started my business, and we connected through that. But it's just been great. We've sort of formed this friendship.
We bonded.
It's really,
we bonded over that because we were kind of going through the same thing at the same time.
Yes, now your business is a little bit older. It's actually coming up on a year, right?
Yeah,
next month.
Year in May.
That's awesome. And so Casey does, and I'll let you talk about it, but it's this t-shirt company, and so that's where we connected. Small business, new clothing business in the area. So, and we met at Fashion Gives Back.
Yeah, I mean, ironically, huh?
Right.
At a fashion,
Yeah.
event,
Mm-hmm.
but that also gives back, and that's kind of like what you and I talked about.
Yeah.
Why we wanted to start our businesses, and I think just having mutual friends who are awesome and great,
and
who just
supportive.
knew you and I would connect immediately, even besides that.
Mm-hmm.
I think this has just been a friendship that was meant to be.
Yes, and since then, I think, some stars have aligned, and I went to your Christmas party this past year, and I met one of my customers that I had no idea who they were, and it's really cool whenever you start having people that you don't know.
Or when you see people wearing something that
and
that you developed.
Exactly. And so this lady, a really nice lady, she was, I was introducing myself,
Mm-hmm.
and she's like, "Oh, my son loves your shirt," and it's like one of the crab shirts, I think, or maybe a crawfish,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like his favorite shirt, and they're just like so much joy, and then
but those are those
really
little
cool.
Like winks you need.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
And it helps.
Yes.
As like a small business owner, as someone's just starting out, that you need
okay,
I can do this.
When people encourage me, I say, okay, received.
Yes.
Because, I mean, you can only, drive yourself for so long.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not about getting the approval from other people. It's just getting the acknowledgement that you're on the right path.
Yes.
And that you're being heard, you're being seen, and that it's working.
Mm-hmm.
So to know that somebody, purchased something that was, a part of your business.
And then it impact their son's lives, and it was in their life, and it was just a really positive thing. It wasn't just, oh, I bought my shirt, but she said that her son, her son's favorite shirt, and kind of goes back to around what you do. And I think her son has autism, and so he doesn't find a lot of the shirts that he likes.
Exactly.
And so,
that's why I created it.
Yeah. So leading into that, tell us about Bayou Blend.
Well, I mean, so Bayou Blend was developed on a personal need, kind of like we, touched on. I, too, also have an autistic son, and that was something that he was struggling with a little bit, but being nonverbal, we kind of really didn't know. We just knew he would take off his shirts, and he would just have these meltdowns, and it was like my friend who, told you, shared their story. It's the same thing when you find a winner. It's just such a relief, because it's daunting to try to dress a child or help a child or even adult find something that makes them not only just feel good, but literally feel good on them.
Yeah.
And so I found this great brand called The Soul Project, this company out in Laguna Beach. And I bought a couple of shirts, and it's just amazing. Like you said, stars align. I just was there at the right time, at the right place. And I was buying these shirts, and the salesperson said, "Hey, this company is really great. They're philanthropic, and they donate to several charities in the area. And these in particular go to an autism nonprofit." And at that time, autism wasn't even on my radar.
Right.
But hearing that, I was like, oh, wow, yeah, okay, let me get a couple more. And so my husband and I were really excited to try these shirts out on our son, and he loved them. And the fact that they gave back was, just the cherry on top. And so I tried to figure out, dissected the shirt, what works, what is it that's attractive, what makes this one different. And it was a graphic T-shirt. And I soon started to realize how difficult it is to find a graphic T-shirt for somebody who has sensory sensitivities, because they don't like the way it feels, the paint, the ink on top of the fabric. And long story short, I decided to go ahead and make one. And just like I was encouraged to buy more shirts, because knowing that it gave back, and of all things, it gave back to a nonprofit that soon became a part of my life, and becoming an autism advocate. I soon realized that there was a need for this, and there's definitely an open market and a void in the fashion industry for adaptive clothing. So here we are, a year later, really two, blood, sweat, and tears,
right,
and the whole concept, a lifetime on how I feel. Like, oh my God, it's already here. What? Oh, it's only a year?
I know, yeah. I'm the same way. Like, I celebrated the 6-month mark a few weeks ago, and it was just
I know, I feel like you've been doing this so much longer, too.
And the same thing, it's like, it goes by so fast, but it's also like, you've done so much in that short time period that it just feels, which is great, and it's just like, but you're like expecting, like, I don't know, it's like, it's coming up though. It's really fun that Lake Charles and this area is, like, we have so many great people that are doing this, like you are, and starting your business, and also that are supporting it.
The millennials are changing Lake Charles. It's just, I applaud it. I'm so excited, because a lot of people. So I graduated in '99, and reaching 40, and a lot of people my age have contributed to Lake Charles significantly. A lot of people that I graduated high school with, and just friends with at other schools. But this wave of counterculture, art, whether it's through food, fashion, and just exhibits that are going on here is amazing. There's kind of like a little revolution going on in Lake Charles. And several businesses in the past were just too ahead of its time. I feel like out of my generation, my decade, I guess say, I've lived in Lake Charles for 13 years now. And what I've seen, some businesses fail that now would thrive.
Right.
And but it took a group of people. And I mean, like I said, I use food as an example, from like Sloppy Taco and what they've done for the food truck business, and then Cala for what they've done, the whole farming industry and the food to table, and just creating unique things. And then, like we talked about, Lauren doing Fashion Gives Back. It's just all these different elements that are going on right now that are making Lake Charles. A friend of mine from Texas said, "Who knew Lake Charles was a little mini New Orleans?" And I thought, "Oh wow, I haven't heard that in a long time."
I got chills.
But
just right
it
now.
was awesome, because when when people come to visit us, I went to school in Texas. I went to TCU, so I have a lot of friends who like to come visit. And now it's so nice that we have new places to take them through, like again, food and just bars, and but also shopping. I mean, you have Olive and Indigo, who I think is just so talented in the jewelry business, and what the photographers are doing, and that we have also we have social media influencers here in Lake Charles, who are also putting Lake Charles on the map.
Yeah. No, you've used that a lot in your business, right? Like the social,
it's
the
kind of
influencers.
New. So again, it was just a friend of a friend kind of situation. It was one of those things. I literally had a friend. again, it was like the day of, she said, you need to call these girls.
Mm-hmm.
And they're really sweet, and they, I think they would just like to really help you out. Well, I went to the country club pool with a
Mm-hmm.
friend. I'm not a member, but a friend invited me to come bring the kids, and I'm at the tiki bar ordering a margarita, and I look over, and there's the two girls, Christine Tarver and Jessica, you see, taking their picture, and I'm like, okay, universe, got it. I need to, and he says something. I'm like, well, do I interrupt them? Do I not interrupt them? But sure enough, I said, excuse me, a friend of mine suggested I give you two a call, a business here, and I just said who it was, and they were like, oh, yeah, so-and-so told us about you. They already kind of were aware, and I was like, okay, good. I don't look like another crazy lady mom at the tiki bar, But from there, we had a meeting, and they're just, for any businesses out there, they're just so sweet and kind and easy to work with. And they just kind of taught me a little bit of the social media game in the way that it's there to really be used in a marketing industry. And I graduated in advertising and public relations, but this is way new to me.
It's constantly changing, and that's something a lot of businesses, they don't use and utilize enough of. Or you may see that they are utilizing, like yourself, and I think it's done a great job.
Right,
for y'all.
well,
And
because it makes you have to put yourself out there.
Yeah.
And it's worth doing. That's just where the evolution of advertising is going. And so many other businesses are hiring Instagram influencers, and there's a lot out there to hire.
Yeah.
And I think everybody's trying to up their Instagram game on as well. And then all these new outlets, Tumblr, Twitter. There's just so many.
There's a lot, and
to keep up with now. But that's their job, and they're really good at helping you do that. And if that's not, fortunately, I love marketing and advertising, so it's just been one more fun thing to learn.
And they say, and I've done some research on this too, but try to find like those influencers, even if they're not from your area, you can message them, direct message them.
So I messaged one this morning who's actually in the autism community. It's an awesome. Autistic dad. I just started following him recently, and he's an influencer by nature. I don't believe this was what he sought out to do. I think he was just a parent and an advocate, and then just now has million followers, and which is very it's crazy, right? Can you think that you would just
imagine one
that
day
would just happen, like just you living your life,
right?
But anyways, I DM'd him this morning, and it was just like, hey, I love your support. I'm a parent too, and this is what I do. And Bayou Blend has 3 lines. I have a spirituality line, and the autism awareness line, and then I call it LA to LA, and it's just the parallelisms between Los Angeles, California, and our area. And so I have several markets that I have to kind of tap into a little bit, but they're all sensory friendly, so they all just feel like a vintage T-shirt for everybody. So whether you have a sensitivity issue or not, you feel good about it. But so it's a little bit more challenging for me because I have a lot of moving parts and a lot of people to target.
Yeah, and so explain the sensory friendliness. Like, how did you just explain that for us?
Yeah, because I get asked that a lot. A lot of people don't know exactly what that means, and it can mean. And the thing is, it's multifaceted. It can mean different things. But for me and for my product, I remove all tags. So not only the collar, there's usually a side seam tag, and that was again because a need of my oldest has sensory sensitivities, and
even if
she's not even autistic, so you don't even have to be autistic to have sensory sensitivity or sensory processing disorder. And I have one child that's really a hindrance, and my son actually through therapies is does so much better now. Before if I put a shirt on, it'd melt down, but through therapy, OT, it's helped him tremendously. But so I've just learned different things work for different people, and I try to cover it all. I also use a printing process that's really difficult, and it's very hard to find people. I'm using one of the leaders in California and LA, and what they do is it's basically removing the dye. So I have a white shirt on right now, right? And this shirt was dyed white, okay? Well, the way I print is I remove that white from the shirt and then replace it with a graphic tee. And it's called discharge printing. It's kind of similar to like a bleaching process, but it's got to have the right hands on it. And also the ink I use is a mix, a little cocktail of inks, and they're all eco-friendly. So basically you have that, I used the example of a vintage t-shirt earlier, you know, it's like, but it's not, it feels like that good softy, you know, Kleenex shirt, but but it doesn't compromise the product. It's not wearing, it didn't get like this from wear and tear. And so I can say sensory friendly just based on that, the soft seams, the tag removals, the type of ink I use, the type of printing process that I use.
Right, and what's great about today now, everyone's really aware of the struggles that people go, that they have, whether it's sensory oriented, where they just can't wear a shirt, which you kind of just take advantage of that. Not take advantage, but you take that for granted. Is the phrase I was looking for. Yeah. But whenever you don't have autism or you don't know someone affected by that, it's like, oh, the ink, you know, what does that have to do with anything? But it's even with Amy Schumer's like special we watch on Netflix.
Oh my gosh,
it was funny. It was so funny. And my friend Emily, she's big and pregnant, and I sent it to her. I was like, you have to watch this.
Yeah.
But she talks about how she married her husband, and he I think they used to call it Asperger's, but it's like autism.
Now there's one big umbrella.
Right, and so it's really cool to see these people talking about it, and then that it's normalized, and it's something that normal people go through, and they're affected by, and it's not something to be scared of, but it's something to embrace and you can love someone, you can have a relationship with someone that's autistic or struggles with whatever disability that they may have.
Social norms.
Right.
Yeah, well, because
and it's really great to see that.
There's been a cry for it for a long time for a lot of people with different disabilities. And, you know, with autism and sensory process disorder, you don't see the disability. It's unseen, it's unaware. My son looks like everybody else. He acts like everybody else to someone who maybe doesn't understand what's going on. You know, Bo was nonverbal, and people just thought he was like this perfect angel because he never said a word, when really that's not what the case was. So, you know, there has now been a shift, I think, not only in disabilities, but a lot of things that are going on with different movements, with women's rights and all kinds of stuff. But there's just been a cry for change and acceptance. And so the word that comes to mind is inclusion. Everybody's using that word.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm using it. I have a new shirt that's got launch that says it.
Oh, cool.
And yeah, it's really retro. I like it a lot.
Oh, I can't wait to see it.
But it's a word that's being heard a lot lately, and I think because it covers all the bases. And so, you know, like you said, Amy Schumer and other people are now talking about it. I think they have to because it's now the norm.
And I grew up with my cousin, and I'm not sure the exact diagnosis, and it may be something different because she is older and she's around your age, you know, so it's like that whenever she was diagnosed, it was back in the day, so it's maybe
back in the day.
No, Casey's about to walk out.
I'm not even 40 yet, people.
No. Okay, so
I'm 37.
So she is older than you. But
I'm about to
Casey's walking out
right now. Botox up in here or something.
No. I know everyone. I have like older friends, and y'all know this, and then they're like, Devin, you're such a baby. But anyway, so it's growing up with that. She didn't look different than anyone else, and she was just like development, like it just wasn't as advanced as as her sister or something. Like
something was a little different,
right. And so growing up with that, I was always sensitive to that and knew how to handle those situations. But it's really
We're very lucky because a lot of people don't.
Yeah, and then luckily she had a good family, and it's unfortunate sometimes that these people with disabilities don't have good families that where they get the right help or take care of them, and so you see that, and unfortunate, and it's really great to just see that people are starting to take care of other people like they should.
Right, and like you said, I mean, so being a parent who, fortunately, I can cover therapy, the portion that insurance doesn't, other things. I mean, a lot of people are misdiagnosed or not diagnosed at all just because of not having the family foundation that they need. And that could be for many reasons. And it could be just that they can't afford it. It could be that they look the other way. It could be that they just don't understand what's going on. I mean, I'm an educated person, and I'd like to know I'm pretty savvy, and some of the characteristics that were happening. I was like, wait a minute, is that did he flap his hands? Oh no, all kids flap their hands. Well, is he walking on his tiptoes? Well, don't all kids see that? I argued with myself, and so there's a need
just like through like education and
so these, like I said, a lot of people just don't know, and so as a parent who is aware, and I think a parent who has seen what therapy can do for a child, it makes you a bigger advocate to take care of those who don't. And that's why I applaud the St. Nicholas Center here in Lake Charles. So many people don't understand what a gem and how fortunate we are to have a place like that here. People commute all over, and that's why I do what I can to support them. Right now, a portion of my proceeds, a portion of my proceeds are going to them, and awesome. I support them as a parent, but also as a business owner, and I always say they gave me the best version of my child.
I got chills from that. That's awesome.
Well, when I dropped him off, I mean, it was like I knew he was sweet. I knew that he was kind, spirited. That's all I knew. And we didn't, my husband and I, we just didn't know him like our other child. We're like, oh, that personality, blah, blah, blah. She's going to be this when she grows up. I would just see my son and blank out. And it's a lonely, sad feeling as a parent to not be able to connect with your child through normal communication. I'm so fortunate that my son now gets in trouble for talking. And I mean, when the teachers are like, oh, Mrs. Bolton, I have to tell you, he's talking again. I'm like, amen. And that's why I think, again, I keep saying the world is shifting this way. Is all those who've been affected by anything they're going through and have seen the light at the end are pushing forward to help others.
Yes.
That was a really long answer, I'm sure.
No, I love it. And it's just so reassuring to see that. But so speaking of St. Nicholas Center, which we have my new friend and your friend Tasha coming on next week to talk about that. But you just partnered with them. They went to Uganda, and Tasha's going to talk about this. But just you donated all these shirts to bring over there. Tell us about that.
So I had this really good girlfriend from college who used to say, Casey, your heart's bigger than your bank account. And I mean, I was the person who was always buying the bar drinks or, come to my house, and I'll do anything I can to give you what you need. And starting your own business is very challenging through finances, and especially if you're funding yourself or just anything, having to go talk to a bank for a loan or find an angel investor. it can be very daunting. And but I do believe that wherever you are financially, you have to give. I believe it's just the law of nature. It's the law of attraction, and I believe it's God's law. And when this opportunity came up, Tasha approached me and saying, "Look, I know that your finances are not where you would like them probably to be." And she said, "Is there any way we can maybe partner with your printer or, Bella Canvas, or what can we do to get Bayou Blend to Rwanda?" And I said, "Well, I'll do it." And she said, "Okay, so, I'm not asking you to do that. You do so much already for, the center and stuff." And I always feel like I can never do enough for, again, just for what they've done for my family.
Yeah.
And so I had the opportunity to donate some shirts for the kids, the staff, and their parents. And it was just really rewarding because they're trying to shed light and love and positivity with Rwanda and other places, because right now kids are actually getting killed and parents and mothers are getting stoned to death for having autism in their family. And a lot of my shirts try to focus on the positive, on the characteristics. Like, for example, I have a shirt it says "Autism Counts" and with a peace sign. Yeah, but literally my son would over and over, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And over and over. Or, we have to listen to Sirius Radio Station 10, has to be 10. He wants to go back to level 8 on a trip that was at a hotel. It's just this thing with numbers. And it's a normal characteristic. And so it was the whole double, autism counts literally, and also autism counts, and then the peace sign. But that's just one example of, I'm trying to promote, I call myself the positive advocate. So, anyway, seeing this, she sent me a picture while she was there, and seeing all these beautiful faces and the shirts, that's just a reminder of why I'm doing this. Yeah. And all the challenges aside, the daunting gruel of day to day of trying to start something new, when it's helping others, that's all you can ask for.
Yeah, for sure. And how cool is that? That you're someone's wearing your shirt over half a world away, and that's just crazy.
I never thought about that.
Oh, really?
That's
oh, well,
so funny.
yeah.
No, I've never thought about that.
And it's.
For me,
I think it's neat.
Yeah, totally. Well, yeah,
and then
I'm international now, right?
Exactly.
I add that to the list.
I know. I was excited whenever I first got my first order in Texas or somewhere too. You just get this little
Oh my gosh! No, I'm Georgia. Somebody from Georgia just bought. Well, it's neat to see. Yeah. How it travels.
Yeah.
And
for sure.
It's so funny. I do the exact same thing.
Yeah.
I know. And all you people who are on social media are not private, I look you up too sometimes. I'm like, oh, who's this person? Who's this fun person?
I met.
It's just another way to connect with your customers,
It's really fun, and speaking of seeing it out, I was at this restaurant a few weeks ago, and I saw this man with a shirt on, and I was like, wait, that looks really familiar.
Yeah.
And the brands that I have on the site, I try. They're independent brands or small brands,
you do a really
and
good
then
job.
to kind of bring new people in to the area.
Selective clothing lines,
for sure. And so I was like, that's really odd. So I went and asked him. I was like, hey, where'd you get that shirt from? And he was like, Corbello. He was couldn't remember the name. He was like, Corbello's boots. I'm like,
that's me.
Yeah, I was so excited. I was with my friend, and I was like, hey, can I take a selfie with you? And it was really neat to see that, and that one of my shirts is out and about.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I didn't know him personally. We have a mutual friend, I think, and that's where I heard about it. But it was just really neat, and those little small victories.
Oh my gosh, I slammed on my brakes in front of Daryl's just the other day. So I was like, "There's my shirt. That's my shirt." Because I could see what I knew it was one of them. And of course, my kids were like, "Bayou Blend. We saw a girl wearing Bayou
Oh, that's
you
sweet.
know, and I was like, I mean, I've seen it in other places, but it's just funny to just be like driving down the road and just randomly look over, and I'm like, oh my
It's
gosh.
like what I imagine, like, whenever you're, like, a musician or an
Yeah,
artist,
your
and, like,
songs
you,
on
like,
the
right, but that
Yeah.
will never happen for me because I can't sing.
No,
But,
me
it's
either.
those little victories help get you through the day if you're a small business and just
Yeah.
starting out, and, so that we're in this journey together, and it's, that's, I guess, why we connected. But real quick, one, just if you can go over like a little overview of like maybe for those who have like small children or infants, and they don't know the signs of autism, like what do they look for so they can ask their doctor. And
Sure. I mean, again, I always say I'm a parent. I'm not a therapist, and I'm not a doctor. I just know from my story, but there's so many great organizations out there that you can look up online and read some of the characteristics. And we talked about St. Nicholas Center earlier. They have something as well that if you are concerned about anything or have any red flags that you think that your child might need some help, you can look it up there. But I encourage people to just go past those characteristics as well and just go with your gut feeling. So for me, that was part of it. And my husband, it was a conversation that got started just from intuition. And it's always better to find something out and hear something you don't want to hear than to not find out at all. And especially if it's going to better the well-being of the individual. So with that said, my son had the typical signs of walking on the toes. I mentioned that earlier, and flapping the hands. And he would give you eye contact, but he would look away. And again, being nonverbal. But it's told by so many people, and well, he's a boy, he'll talk later, he's a boy, and okay, but like he should have like 50 words by now, and he's not even saying 5. And he would try to communicate in other ways. He'd make these like sounds, these like clicking sounds, and and then, but he does, like I said, you sit there and you go back and forth. So as a parent, I think you're going to do that. You're going to second guess yourself and question yourself, which is a good thing. But if you see any kind of characteristics like that, I mean, I think anything's worth exploring, that something might just look a little different. And it just felt different. And his demeanor, like I said, I didn't quite have a personality from him. And we looked into speech delay. We looked into just behavioral therapy, and we just weren't getting to what we needed. And when we took him to St. Nick's, they said, "Look, let's just go ahead and evaluate him." And then we had an answer, and he was diagnosed. And from there, he was able to receive multiple therapies, which is what he needed. It wasn't just ABA, it wasn't just OT or speech and all these acronyms that we have to learn as parents. Oh my gosh, I'd be like, hey, are you ABA or BBA? I mean, wait a minute, what does that mean? So he was able to receive all the therapies and all of them together under one roof. And for him, that's what really helped him tremendously. So again, there's just so many characteristics, but everybody's different. Everybody's journey is different. How we talked about Asperger's is now, an autism umbrella too. So being that said, it's just, you just go on your gut feeling and what might just seem out of the norm.
Right.
And clothing is a big sign for people with sensory sensitivity, because I mean, like my son would just, as soon as the shirt came on, it came right off, or like I said, cries, and I think that's a sign right there.
Yeah, awesome. Well, one last thing, I always ask my guests this, and I think I forgot to tell you before, but is there like a book or that you are reading right now, or that you have read that's really kind of just influenced your life in a positive way?
Well, good thing I listened to your podcast last night with our dear friend Matt Young, and I heard you ask him that question.
Perfect. So you were ready.
I was ready last night. Sorry, it's funny. I read a lot. I read a whole lot. I didn't have I wish I had this great answer for you, but there was a book that Matt mentioned, The Shack, and I actually have a shirt that says "Meant for Good," which is a quote from the book and the movie, and it's just basically about talking about how God, everything that God creates, whether it might seem good or bad, and what circumstances happen to us in life, it's always meant for good, and that really just always stands out for me because there's so many things we don't understand, and I mean, I could easily sit here and look at my own story and say, why did this happen to our family? And I think so many other people can say the same thing. But I don't think we're always meant to have to understand it. I think it's just to embrace it.
Yeah, and that's what you did. And now people all over the world now are affected and in a positive way by your actions to not dwell on it. And that's really prayer. Yeah, and it's really encouraging to have people in my life that are like that, and just that are around here in Lake Charles, and just that they're out there, and that are people are just making a positive impact, and they're wanting to change.
It's the same energy. I think we're all connecting for a reason, and I think it's all about everyone's intent, and I think when you put yourself out there, you and I really had to, I'm as outgoing as I am a private person.
And it's hard to be so exposed.
Facebook, I was the last person, my friends created a Facebook account for me because I was like, I'm not going to do this. I'm not good at this stuff. And I just was like, I don't want to put myself out there. And I'm a Leo. Believe me, I don't mind attention. I don't mind, being a social butterfly. But like I said, I'm actually really private. And I woke up, this is a true story, and I was checking my emails. Everyone was like, looks like your last night was fun. And there was all these pictures of me, and all of a sudden I was on Facebook.
Oh, no.
But now I'm on Facebook on a whole nother level.
Right.
And, it's, I think all of us reaching out for a helping hand from one another. We talked about this at the beginning. It's just encouragement.
Yeah. And it's great to see social media, and I love seeing your pictures every day. And then I know your son's on there. No, and I think your son and daughter are both models. They model your shirts and some of your pictures, and which you have a beautiful family, by the way. I don't think I've ever told you that. They're just so pretty, and just I don't know, they just look great. But it's great to see. Yes.
They're my biggest testers, honestly. That's the truth. So that's who everything has to pass my kids.
And if apparently it's doing well, and they're good testers, good guinea pigs for your shirts.
They are, and it works for me, and I pray that it works for other people. I just know, my little girl the other night said, I'm so happy that you made Bayou Blend, and she said, I'm so happy you made Bayou Blend for me. And she said, because it just feels so good. And she did, I made it for everyone. But she took it as I made that just for her. Yeah. And that's what I'm wanting. I want people to know there's something for you. And was to have an awareness shirt that somebody with those kind of needs, sensory needs, would have that.
Or even for regular people like myself, I just... you just don't like tags sometimes, and then and so it's like an added benefit to buying one of your shirts.
Well,
if you
just
you're
for
probably
fashion, in the business you're in because you're picky.
Right. Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
You saw that, probably a need for yourself, and we all kind of do that. That's how everything's generated, and and so you decided to give people another outlet to purchase, like you said, some newer designers and new companies out there, and give not only our area but nationwide the opportunity to purchase something unique, and that's what I did as well. And just because mine is labeled this doesn't mean it's better than. It just means it fits a need
Right.
Out there. And I know when you buy your shirts, your graphic tees, that's important to you, that it's not going to be something that customers are going to want to return. You know, it's about something that's just a good quality product.
For sure.
And that's what I really try to do, is just give everybody a quality shirt.
And that's you can tell that in your products and your success and your social media. But speaking of social media, what are your handles on Facebook, Instagram, all that?
I make it really easy. It's at Shop by You Blend. So Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, every social media out there, same handle, the at Shop by You Blend. And also have a YouTube channel. I've posted some cool photo shoots and then a couple of videos. And
you have a really neat video that Bella Canvas did, kind of a background.
Yeah, they highlighted the company. Yeah, that was just something I just kind of put myself out there again and pitched it to them and said, hey, would you be interested in being a part of this? And I really was wanting to utilize them and talk about their product, and then it turned to reverse where they end up I was going to interview them and go out there and make a video with them, and then they said, no, this is a great idea. And the production value on it is just amazing. And it was just such a cool experience. I went with a group of girls. Tasha was one of them, who we spoke about earlier. And I just brought all my biggest cheerleaders with me, and a lot of them are affiliated with St. Nick's. They either work there or, raise money for the school, or also a parent with a child with a special need. And we call each other our St. Nick's sisters.
Oh.
Yes, and we went out to LA to do the video, and I burst into tears after. It was just, again, we talk about being, surrounded by encouraging people, and that was really cool. And then I actually just filmed a YouTube show called On the Spectrum with Terry Matthews, and I went out to Pennsylvania last month and did that, and it's going to air, I did that in February. It's going to air any day now. And again, that was, reaching out. I thought I was going to be sending them my product for them to review. That's what they do. They review sensory-friendly products from toys to clothing. And while I told them the story, my backstory, they said, oh, you got to come out and be a guest.
Wow,
and and again, it was just such another really cool experience,
Yeah, so the takeaways from this episode is, don't be afraid to put yourself out there. 1, 2, if there's a need that you find in yourself and you can't find it with a business or whatever, don't be afraid to start your own business.
Yeah.
And 3, give back, and don't be afraid to give back in any way you can, and it's always going to come back. I believe in treating others like you want to be treated, karma, the whole all of that's kind of wrapped into one, and like the law of attraction, and so so do it. Just be good. And I always end my podcast,
meant for good, right?
Yeah, I'm always in my podcast and blogs with do good, and Casey, you're doing good. And so again, thank you for coming on.
I have a big smile on my face right now. Devin, you are too. I think you're amazing and gifted.
Oh, you're too sweet.
And what you're doing for others doesn't go unseen as well. And I just am so thankful that you gave me this opportunity to once more just tell my story. And I'm just thankful to have met you, and I really just appreciate everything you're doing.
You're gonna make me
and
cry.
Introduce me to podcasts.
Yeah, it's your first podcast.
Feeling kind of official,
right? It's great getting behind a mic. It's
I don't know. I might need to be the next co-host.
There you go. If Andrea can't make it, you'll be my sub in.
Yeah, y'all are awesome. No, you're doing really good, and
you.
I love what you're doing.
Thank you. And again, if you need anything, check out Bayou Blend Apparel, Shop Bayou Blend. The website is
it's shopbayoublend.com. I know. Again, it's so
easy.
And then the Where Autism line is just launched on Amazon. So
awesome.
yeah, just trying something new, just to get more awareness out there.
That's awesome. Well, thank you, Casey. And
thank you.
Thank you all for listening. And again, if you don't mind rating us on iTunes, Spotify, Podbean, wherever you listen, YouTube, I'd love to get those ratings in there and reviews. And if there's any questions or topics that you would like to discuss, don't be afraid to reach out to me. Or
me as well. If anyone has any questions about what I'm doing and any referrals to some help maybe that you can have, please, Casey Bolton, you can DM me or just find me off my website.
For sure. And thank you all for listening, and we'll see you next week. Do good.